Hello, dear friends. Here we are. We are here at Cardiac Radio, both the broadcasting in the app and the Facebook page. If you're listening to this on demand, you're welcome as well to contact us and ask your questions or send in your comments, both on YouTube video, the channel at Cardiac Radio, or Facebook, or our own website, cardiacradio.com. At Cardiac Radio, we're constantly striving to make sure that we provide to you the ultimate opportunity for you to learn more about Spiritism. And these 11 p.m. study sessions have been devoted solely now for a while, at least for 40 days, to instruct the Spiritist Practitioner. We really need more information and empowerment to the Spiritist Practitioner in the world, because we haven't had much out there. We have a lot of Spiritist information, but the formation of the Spiritist Practitioner is really lacking, especially in the English language. And this is not a judgment onto anybody. It's actually just an evidence that we found, a fact, and we're addressing here at Cardiac Radio. It's 10 days today of wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner, and we're using a book that is coming about in English as we speak, Wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner. Educandário de Luz. Educandário de Luz, several spirit authors. It's a compilation of messages for the practitioners. Chico Xavier is the medium. And today we're going to be studying the message by Emmanuel. Let's get to work. Let's get to work by Emmanuel. You see, this far from Dr. Bezerra de Menezes in the first message to date, we've got several messages telling us about let's stop dreaming, let's start doing it. Dreaming in the sense of like, oh, I wish, wishy-washy, and then nothing happens. The spirits are telling us there's no more time. Roll your sleeves and work. But work with the Christ in the heart. And the Christ in the heart means firmness, determination, kindness, and love. Firmness, determination, kindness, and love. What a combination. Isn't it a combination? It's the combination. And you're welcome to join us tonight as we work together on a simple message, apparently. But you know, whatever comes from Emmanuel, it's simple, it's simply complex. In the sense of he's deep, he's very deep. And he's inviting us tonight to go above and beyond what we have been saying we want to do and actually do it. Shall we? Right. Let me read the message before I say hi to the community. Shall I do it? Let me read the message and then we'll talk. Let's get to work. Emmanuel. He quotes Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 26 in the New Testament. What shall you do, brethren? When you come together, each one of you has a psalm, a doctrine, a revelation, a tongue, an interpretation. Let all things be for edification. This is Paul to 1 Corinthians 14:26. And now Emmanuel's comments. The Corinthian church struggled with certain stronger difficulties when Paul wrote the note transcribed herein. The content of the letter appreciated various spiritual problems of the companions of the Peloponnese, but we can insulate the verse and apply it to certain situations of the new Christian groups formed in the environment of Spiritism in the revival of the gospel. We often notice concerned by the workers for novelties in phenomena and revelations. Some nuclei usually stop their activities when they do not have trained mediums. How come? No medium will definitely solve the fundamental problem of the illumination of the companions. Our spiritual task would be absurd if the mechanical frequency of at any center were simply circumscribed to mark the efforts of a few. Let the disciples be convinced that work and fulfillment belong to all, and that it is imperative that each one moves in his uplifting service. No one claims to be absent from novelty. When great concessions from the higher sphere await the firm decision of the apprentice of goodwill in the sense of knowing life and rising. When you come together, remember the doctrine and the revelation, the power to speak and to interpret, that you are already holders, and place hands to the work of good and light in the indispensable path for perfection. Okay, what is Emmanuel talking about? What is he referring to? He is talking to you and I, Spiritist practitioners. If you're coming in tonight and you don't know the definition, Spiritist practitioner is a person who embraced the Spiritist teachings but doesn't want to keep it to him or herself alone. He or she would like to unfold it and share with others and practice these teachings not only in their personal life but in a community. As a medium, as a past giver, as a speaker, educator for children, many roles. So Emmanuel is coming to us. And he begins the message by quoting Paul to the Corinthians in the Corinthian church at a time, which for the longest time was the church, the Christian church. They were very fraternal, very kind, as you can read in the book Paul and Stephen. But of course, struggles are very common because we're just so humans. And here he's talking about the fact that we may have everything at hand. And he says, let all things be for edification, meaning it's beautiful when we know this, know that, know the other. I know, no. And what do? Nowadays we have Facebook. And many people spend almost the whole day watching, which is great. Spiritist talks, Spiritist conversations. The question is, are we using those talents and multiplying? Oh, yeah, I'm helping here and there. But the much that we're receiving, are we giving? Are we doubling it up? Remember the parable of the talents that Jesus mentioned. A person received 5 and gave back 5, 10. Received 3 talents and gave back 3 more, 6. One received 1 and gave nothing. How many people have been just like this? They read the Spiritist books. They watch Spiritist talks in the Spiritist centers. They do Spiritist treatments. They watch now Facebook talks, YouTube talks, radio talks, and conversations. And the question is, how many talents are we receiving? 1, 3, or 5? If we're receiving 5, double it up. Figuratively speaking, right? We're talking about the need to multiply the talents. We're co-creators. You remember, we're children of God. Do you doubt your potential? If you're listening to this, you and I, listening to Emmanuel tonight, we're being called to double the give back. It's like a match. You remember when these programs we have in the United States and around the world, if you give $3 to this cause, this company is going to match it. That's what we're talking about. We receive so much. What are we giving? What are we giving? Right, Ivana? We're co-creators. This is the time to give us a pause. Say hi. Hello, friends. We're here together. Those who are here live, and I can see Adilson and Teresa Catapano and Lívia Moraes. How are you? Sunshine, study night equals happy night. You're right, my friend. Luciane Antoine, Lisa Teles, Paula, how are you? Adan Casares, how are you? Beautiful Severo, friend of the heart. Leo Vieira, my brother, how are you? Rihanna, how are you, my sister? Marcos Bicalho, how are you? And Angelita, Fraternity Without Borders. And the pair, Angelita Maria Amélia, fraternitywithoutborders.org, and Care Correa and Mark Smith with us in the app. Thank you, friends. Rudy's here, present, making this present pleasant. But it's serious, friends. I know you feel the seriousness of this moment. Right, Margarida Valderrama? It's serious. We have received much. Right, Louise, beautiful mother who is working so hard with 2 babies, beautiful family. And Emma Soriano, how are you? Friends, the conversation is hard, but you know why? Look around the world. Time is running out. What do you mean, Vanessa? Is the world gonna end? No, that's not the point. But our time to adjust to the Christ proposal on the earth is running out. For those who have encountered Spiritism, we're being asked to give more. We're being asked, for those who are given much, much will be demanded. We have been given much. And no matter if you've got to know of Spiritism yesterday or 1,000,000 years ago, figuratively speaking, because this year is celebrating 160 years of Spiritism, it's time for us to say, you know what, I'm going to prioritize the application of this in my life, but not only for me. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Even children's cartoons talk about sharing is caring, right, Julija? And Emmanuel today, he's saying, we often notice people workers, practitioners, who are very concerned about mediumship. They come to the scene, they want to see phenomena. And when there are no trained mediums, people are, well, but he's saying to us clear cut, that we cannot stop ourselves because we have limitations, either ours or the groups. In 20 years of experience in the United States in Spiritism, I see more than ever how Emmanuel is right. If when we are coordinating a group, we wait for people to be ready to implement activities, we'll never do anything. People get to be trained as we go. Yes. We prepare ourselves, but then we really become experts in the field XYZ as we practice. So some people are like, oh, we're going to open a mediumistic effort. We need ready-to-go mediums. Okay, show me where they are, because I don't know where they are. That doesn't exist. People will be given the opportunity of being experienced if we give them the opportunity to acquire that experience. Right? Right, Adilson? You know it. Some people are like, oh, but I'm not ready. But that's how you become ready. Do you think when I started this in the United States, in my house, in Baltimore, I was ready? And do you think I'm still ready? No. No. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is not to be ready, self-made practitioner. We need to be ready goodwill-wise. It says here, no one claims to be absent from novelty when great concessions from the higher sphere await the firm decision of the apprentice of goodwill. Apprentice of goodwill. So therapeutic question to you and I. Where's my goodwill? Andrea Torres, how are you? Where is my goodwill? In level of goodwill. Are you level? Lower level? Like, yeah, you know, as long as it doesn't bother my day-to-day priorities. Or, yes, I'm willing to compromise some hours of my week. Or 100% say, you know what, I'm going to customize my life. I'm going to decide to live here because of the center. I'm going to decide to do XYZ activities because of the center. And the priority becomes my commitment. That's fanaticism? No. That's love for God. Love for God, because God is our Lord. And if we don't work for the Lord, who will we be working with? So when you give of your sleep time, some people are like, yeah, I would work until midnight. After midnight, I'm going to sleep. Say, okay, if you want to go to sleep, go ahead. But there are people who are willing to compromise their sleep time to really work and make available resources to others. And if you go to the Gospel according to Spiritism, there is this question: is it suicide when we want to give of our vitality to help others? No. When Chico Xavier worked day and night to help people, from mediumistic works to beneficent works to outreach efforts, he was not committing suicide. Though there were spiritists who were pointing fingers and saying, oh, Chico Xavier is really going wild, above and beyond. I said, yeah, now people envy his position in the spiritual realm. Oh, I wish you were on Chico Xavier's shoes now. Easy. It's easy to get there. I mean, easy in the sense of it takes a choice. It takes a choice of giving everything God gave you and sharing with others, including time and energy, because your energy, the vitality, is not yours, it's not mine, it's God's. God is, you know, filling up the tank of our lives every day, saying, go, full tank, use it. So the gas in your life is not yours. The vitality, the vital fluid, it's a concession of God. How come we have spiritists who are greedy, having so much knowledge and giving so little? That's why he's titling this message, Let's Get to Work. He says here, quoting the passage to Corinthians, they had every knowledge, but we're talking about working, multiplying the talents. And that's the reason why we don't have more Spiritist centers around the world. Because people are prioritizing their professional lives, their family lives, everything else, their entertainment. It's easy to see. People are like, yeah, I like Spiritism. I can't go to this event, but then when you next see them, they are in a party. And then, what do you do with the knowledge? So, quoting a true passage by André Luiz, the spirit author of the book Action and Reaction, and Life Goes On, and Liberation, and that's the book we're talking about. No Solar, The Messengers, Missionaries of the Light, Workers of the Life Eternal, blah, blah, blah. Liberation is a book in English, and it says there, one day, in the spiritual realm, André Luiz was observing how a group of spirits that thought to be justice makers were making selections of the discarnated. By groups, they would have an apparatus that would verify the tone of vibration of people, of those discarnate spirits. And they would categorize them in groups, saying, well, this is a group of greedy people. Those are groups of people who are sexually addicted, and so on and so forth. So then they describe that this man in this group of people who were being classified as greedy in their last life, he raised his hand and said, excuse me, Judge, I am not, and I was not, a greedy person. When I lived last, I didn't even have material possessions. I was an intellectual person. I used to live around books, and that's all that I've done. I was an intellectual. I'm not a greedy person. Then the judge said, that's what you think, because you had a lot of knowledge that you didn't share with people. Here we call it greedy. Your vibrational tone in your perispirit is of greediness. How many people know of these teachings through books, and now all of these talks around the world that people are watching on Facebook, YouTube, etc. What are we doing with it? If we're keeping it to ourselves, we're considered to be greedy. Are you surprised? We need to share with people. We cannot keep it to ourselves anymore. And all the previous messages in the book Educandário de Luz, the book we're studying, says to us clear cut, all we need to do, 2 people. We start with 2 people. In the material plane, in the spiritual plane, there's always a lot more. Right? Yes, so Emmanuel says, when you gather together in a meeting, remember, he says, almost like quoting, paraphrasing Paul to Corinthians. Paul said, You Corinthians, you have the Psalm. And Emmanuel says, you have the doctrine. Said, you have the doctrine. And Emmanuel says, you have the revelation, Spiritists. You have the power to speak, tongue, to the Corinthians. And to interpret. And that's exactly what Paul says, the interpretation. That you already are holders. Now, place hands to the work of good and light in the indispensable path for perfection. Saying we will only progress if and only if we work. If you're waiting, or if I am waiting, to get to a certain level of expertise and experience and goodness inside of my heart to start sharing these teachings, forget it. It will only come as we share it. Chico Xavier, when he began these works, he was 17 years of age. When you read his letters to the president of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation back when he was very young, but already a renowned medium, Sueli Caldas-Schubert publishes the book Testemunhos de Chico Xavier, Testimonials by Chico Xavier. And there we find a Chico Xavier that was inexperienced, willing to do the good works, but still very sensitive, who cried a whole lot about the injustices and the difficulties and the challenges, though he was already Chico Xavier. But there we learn that we are going to polish ourselves as we work. Because then I'm here, I read this message, I already become better. We share, we revisit it, and it reinforces the concept. When we prepare for the other tasks, we are working on ourselves. Okay? So this is pretty much how it works. This is pretty much how it works. Right, Ana Oliveira, our friend from Alabama. Hey, Ana. Okay, friends. So tonight, the message, sometimes Emmanuel goes straight to the point. I'm not going to say all the time. He does. But some messages are really more straightforward. And that's what we need for this moment of ours. A moment on the earth that needs more illumination than ever. Do not hesitate, my friends. Wherever you are, if you're doing 1, think about multiplying for 2. If you're doing 0, start doing 1. If you're doing 2, start doing 3. If you're doing 3, start doing 4. Because this life is the life. It's the life of all of our reincarnations. This is the most important we have lived on the earth. The most important one because it's a defining reincarnation for us. It's a defining reincarnation for all who are in the planet. It's a defining moment for the earth. And I say this not in a feeling of doomed, no, of responsibility. I remember when I was a teenager, and I always loved studying Spiritism, anything. And people used to say, but Vanessa, come on, you're young. And I used to say, you know, what's the point of being young if you're going to trash your life? If you're going to trash your life, what's the point? It doesn't make any sense. And that's why I started, and I'm saying this, sharing with you that these are not mere words. When I started educating children, for Spiritism, I was 14 years of age. At 17, The Institute Paul of Tarsus in the city of Ribeirão Preto, they didn't have a service for children, Spiritism for children. And I said, okay, I volunteered to coordinate it, implement and coordinate it. I remember I was already at the university doing my graduate studies in psychology. And I remember colleagues of mine at the university asking me, why do you do this on a Sunday morning? You're 17. And then I said, what else can I do on a Sunday morning? Sleep. What for? Mornings are not here for sleep. We should be awake when the sun is shining, right? Exceptions happen when we need more sleep. But we're supposed to work. Being from a Spiritist family, coming from a Spiritist family for generations, I've learned with my grandparents, great-grandparents. I met my great-grandmother, she was a Spiritist, and my grandmother, grandfather, mother, father, uncles, aunts, cousins. I've always learned that we should take very seriously our reincarnation. And the best thing we can do in our reincarnation is do exactly what Emmanuel is saying. Let's get to work. And work means multiply the talents we have been given. Shall we, friends? How else can we multiply it? Many ways. So you're invited to join. And don't forget, because Jesus is passing by. And when he passes by, everything is fine. Sadness is gone. Happiness arrives. And we do the good, do the good, do the good, do the good. That's exactly what Emmanuel is telling us. Let's do the good works. And keep up the good works and do more. Always and every day. Thank you, friends. And until tomorrow, God willing, we'll be back for more messages from the good illuminated spirits. Tomorrow, just so you know, we are going to talk about, I want to share with you what we're going to talk about tomorrow. If I have it here in front of me right now, just so you'll be ever more excited about it. Let me see. If I have it, I will share it. It begins with letter, okay, here I have it. It's gonna be message. Yeah. Oops. Emmanuel, it's about the Spiritist group and when we have struggles in the Spiritist group. Ready? He says, let's immunize the group against disturbances by pointing to our own selves the mistakes and reinforcing our responsibility and learning with failures. This is it for today, friends, and until tomorrow, God willing.